gotta be f***ing kidding.
S.N.P leader Stephen Flynn.
Mr. Speaker, with his backbenchers looking for a unity candidate to replace him, which of the now numerous born-again Thatcherites on the Labour front bench does he believe best fits the bill? With such continuity on offer, Mr. Speaker, the public are right to be anti-Westminster, aren't they?
Hello everyone, welcome back to my left eye. Stephen Flynn from the Scottish National Party called out Labour this week at PMQs after Shadow Cabinet MPs David Lammy and Rachel Reeves both made statements praising the much-reviled former Conservative Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. When called to speak in the House of Commons, he also referred to the recent rumours that factions of the Tory party are looking to replace Sunak before the next election, as he also pointed out that under Starmer, the party are copying the government's policies across the board and are even colluding with them to sustain further austerity and public spending cuts which have brought the country to its knees. That comes as no surprise to many on the left, given that Starmer has formally made statements such as this.
Every moment of meaningful change in modern British politics begins with the realisation that politics must act in service of the British people rather than dictating to them. Margaret Thatcher sought to drag Britain out of its stupor by setting loose our natural entrepreneurialism. We'll
go into the statements in a bit more detail, but first of all, let's see what's happening.
S.N.P leader Stephen Flynn.
Mr. Speaker, with his backbenchers looking for a unity candidate to replace him, which of the now numerous born-again Thatcherites on the Labour front bench does he believe best fits the bill?
Well, Mr. Speaker, it was surprising to hear all this talk about the 1970s from the Shadow Chancellor in particular. But then if you see what's happening in places like Birmingham, where taxes are going up by 21%, Mr. Speaker,
Did, of course, cover this in full, the full PMQs. If you want to follow the link at the top of your screen, that'll give you the full live stream episode. But as usual, Sunak ignores the question and proceeds to take it as a cue to do a party political broadcast for the Conservative Party. He obviously won't address Stephen Flynn's point about the Tories and Labour being identical because he wants to set them apart from Labour in the run-up to the next election, to act as though people actually have a choice, which they don't. He also, of course, has to perpetuate the myth that Margaret Thatcher was the saviour for this country when in fact she brought destructions to industries, record unemployment, plunged millions of families into poverty, and in letting people buy up council houses without replacing them like for like, she kick-started the country's housing crisis, which we're still suffering from to this very day.
Services are being cut, whether it's social care, children's services, or indeed, in some streets, literally the lights are being turned off. It was unsurprising why they're talking about the 70s, and I can just say, what they've done to Birmingham, the Conservatives will never let them do to Britain.
And of course, as always, Sunak likes to try and hide the lack of investment going into towns and cities across the country by trying to blame it on the Labour Council. That's an atypical Tory response to trying to sweep the nation's problem under the carpet rather than address them directly.
Of course, Mr. Speaker, there's a serious point to be made here because the I.F.S. have warned of the conspiracy of silence which exists between the Labour Party and the Conservative Party when it comes to £18 billion of looming public sector cuts. Indeed, just last night, they actually outlined that the fiscal rules of the Labour Party and the Conservative Party are in effect identical. So with such continuity on offer, Mr. Speaker, the public are right to be anti-Westminster, aren't they?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm surprised to hear him quoting the I.F.S. because the I.F.S. also described the recent S.N.P budget as, in their words, misleading, and said in their words that pain is almost certainly coming. It is a savage tax and acts budget, Mr. Speaker, a savage tax and acts budget. Because here's the reality of it. Whilst NHS spending in England is going up in real terms, in Scotland it is going down, Mr. Speaker. And while taxes are being cut by the UK government. It is the S.N.P. government that is putting them up, and that is the contrast. Where the S.N.P. or indeed Labour are in charge, it's working people that pay the price.
No, Rishi, if anything, the S&P are putting up taxes slightly to pay for public investment, whereas you're cutting national insurance, which isn't a tax, and failing to invest in anything in terms of public infrastructure. As Stephen Flynn rightly pointed out, the Institute for Fiscal Studies can't tell the difference between Labour and the Conservatives at the moment, and to be frank, neither can I. We've covered this topic before on the channel, so please do check out some of our previous content and drop us a comment in this video to let us know your thoughts as well. At the moment though, the Starmer bot continues to follow the Tory programme, and that doesn't look set to change even if Labour are successful at the next general election.
Under my leadership, we will engage constructively with the government. Not opposition for opposition's sake, not scoring party political points or making impossible demands, but with the courage to support where that's the right thing to do.
Thanks so much for watching. Please hit the subscribe and thumbs up buttons to help us out on the algorithm. We've also now got the membership program open with some great perks for you to enjoy starting from just 99p. Hit the join button or follow the links in the channel description. If you'd like to make a one-off contribution, then please hit super thanks on the video or follow the link to our Buy Me a Coffee page where you can help to show solidarity and support the channel for just the price of a tasty hot beverage. All contributions are greatly appreciated. Thanks again everyone. My left eye will be seeing you soon.